Today's project is to have a look at this little Metcalfe kit, the small signal box based on Goatland. I'm not going to sit and build the entire kit because, quite frankly, there were some really good instructions in here to tell you about that. What I am going to do is look at how you can get the best from cardboard building kits, and hopefully the stuff I'll give you will be useful for other kits. But let's have a look to see what is in the packet. Is the various parts of this kit. Now, Metcalfe, Super Quick, and one or two other kits come ready built on the ready printed on the cardboard, so they're on the right thickness cardboard to work with. You can download kits from the internet, and you have to print them out and stick them to the right cardboard to suit. So we have there's the roof and interior walls on one sheet. That'll be the exterior walls. This is all on die cut card. Exterior walls, more interior bits, and the floor. Some glazing, ready printed, ready to use, and one of the more, and we have some more cardboard here. This is more die-cut cardboard. When I say die-cut cardboard, what I mean is they have a special tool, a special knife-shaped tool that's literally rolled across the cardboard and does the cutting. There's no lasers or anything hot involved in here. It is literally like a very funny shaped knife that goes bang and it's cut. We do have laser cut bits in here. This is something relatively new for Metcalfe. We have all the parts for the steps. In fact, we seem to have two sets of parts of the steps in there, and the barge boards, and these bits, I believe, are to do with the steps again. There are the instructions, and one of the reasons I'm not going to bother going through step by step on this kit is quite simply, look at the instructions. They really are good. Their photographs are as good as you'll find in any magazine, and tell you all the steps to go through to build a building. Now, I quite like this, that Metcalfe actually tell you where the bits you have to cut are with these blue arrows. So what I'll do first of all is I will just take out the first walls. I'm just using a ruler to make sure although you could follow the die cut, I'm just using a ruler to start the cut just so it's nice and straight. Having a little 6-inch metal rule is very handy. The windows pop out of this. This is an interior wall, and as well as being cut out, the stuff's ready scored. So look at that. That's how it's going to go together. Now there are a few jobs here that we're going to need glue for. The first thing is, obviously, we're going to assemble all the card bits of the kit. You can use a nice big bottle of PVA. PVA glue works perfectly well, but to be honest, a big bottle like that is a nuisance. What Metcalfe sell is these really rather neat little, very precision bottles, and they have a pin in the top, and you just you pour your PVA into the bottle, and then you can put in a really accurate and very, very small amount of glue anywhere you need it. The pin just stops the glue gumming up the fine nozzle. The classic advice for card kits is to colour in the edges. Now, Metcalfe recommend that you use watercolour paints. You can do. I find that a little bit messy. I prefer felt tip pens. Now these two are grey and brown, numbers 7 and 12 in the Edding range. What you don't want is the really bright white of the cardboard showing through. If you just colour it grey, then it will just take the edge off it and the eye won't see it. All I do is colour in the edges, just run the pen along the edges. This is why I like pens rather than paints, because you can just get in there and you don't wet the card too much. I always try and work from the side that isn't visible, so you're less likely to mark the front of the visible bits of the kit. And there we go, just do that side there. Now this wall, according to the instructions, needs to be folded in half, and in between I've got to put a sheet of glass, and the sheet of glass for this is part B on there. Now this stuff is printed onto acetate, and my trick is you're supposed to cut it out neatly around the line. I tend not to cut around the line. I tend to cut slightly inboard of the line. And the reason for that is it allows me a bit of wiggle room to make sure I line the window up properly with the aperture, because you really want the windows lined up accurately within the apertures. If they're a bit skew with, it will look odd. It's one of those things. There are certain things you really need to check on a model, and if the windows are nicely in line within the window frames, the whole thing will look a lot nicer. Now, the other thing about the windows is they are printed on one side. So one side is matte, one side is slightly gloss, because it's obviously the other side of the plastic. And a handy hint is to try and make sure that the matte side faces the outside of the building. So there we are. As it happens, I can be confident the matte side is the side where I can see the letter B, nice and neat. Just a dab of Yoo-hoo there, smear it around with your finger. Those who watched me in the past will know I do an awful lot of smearing glues around with my fingers. I'm quite tactile with models. Place it in there and then just wiggle it into position so that I'm happy with the fit there. And I'm going to take my trusty old bottle of rocket glue, because I've got, you can tell I like this stuff. I actually went out and bought, I buy it myself. So now look carefully, not too much glue. There we are. Smear it around your finger. This bottle is about half empty, so I can get away with having it sort of horizontal. The newer bottle will produce a lot of glue very, very quickly. So great efficient stuff, really lovely to work with, but you just need to be careful how runny it is. And again, according to the instructions, I will need one of these card strengthening bits. Trim that out. I need a card strengthening part, and that fits, as it says, fit this side flush to strengthener. This bit here, bit more glue. There we go. Oh, nearly forgot. Don't forget, with the strengtheners, colour the edges of the hole again. There we go. That's nicely coloured in now. Glue, don't forget the glue. Glue. Gluey fingers now. A little bit of a smear around. And then carefully lining, I'm going to line up the pointy bit of the building. The apex of the roof, I think, is the correct term. Line up the pointy bit of the building. Pinch them together. Now I know this kit is going to take me about 3 hours to assemble. You don't want to sit and watch me building a card kit for 3 hours. So here's some bits. Here's a kit I started earlier. And all I've got to do is I've cut out the walls. I've even fitted the window in there. One finishing touch is to fit the back of the door. Again, pay attention when you're building the kits, because the door on this is double-sided. Signal boxes are particularly annoying things in many ways, because you have these great big windows on the front, and that really means you can see the interior. Metcalfe do quite a nice signal box interior if you want to add more detail. I've built one of those in the past. There we are. Door actually swings a little bit. It's quite a nice touch to leave the door partly ajar. It just looks like there's somebody in the building then, even if there isn't somebody in the building. Doors being ajar works a treat. Just got to do the trick with the pen now, running that down the edge, or carefully down the gap. You notice I'm bending the wall back on itself more than I need. It just opens up the white card so I can really get in there with the pen. Again, a little bit of glue. This is one of these kits where it really does pay to read the instructions, because there's some very, like a lot of card kits, there's some really, really clever design touches in here. And one of these is that obviously you're going to need a floor inside this building, and these little supports just fold up to make sure it's supported in the right place within the building. A wall just allows you to fold the building back on itself. There we go. Trying to keep it nice and neat so the bottoms are nice and aligned. And there we have our signal cabin is starting to come together. This should just drop into the building and sit at the bottom. I'm going to drop a bit more glue in the bottom into the corners. This stuff's so runny it will wick into the joint quite nicely. Right, okay, let's quickly pop these in, add a bit of strength to the building, and there we are. And I say the great thing about this stuff is it does grab really, really quickly. But I say PVA is normal PVA will work just as well. A lot of people assemble the entire kit with Yoo-hoo. It just depends on how you feel. Now, that's quite a tight fit in there. The thing we do need is a roof. And here we are, we have the roof. Now roofs are important on models because unlike real life, we tend to see the roof really, really clearly because we tend to look at our models from above. And this is one of the few areas where I'm not that happy with most card kits straight out of the packet, because whilst this roof is a nice colour and it'll fit on our building okay, it looks a bit flat, but no fear, it is possible to solve this problem. It's very, very simple. What you need is a scriber. Now this is a sort of special scriber. I think it cost me £5 from one of our traders, but you could use a blunt knife, a run-out ballpoint pen, anything that will draw a line, just a faint line on the cardboard. So I'm drawing a faint line here, and you're probably saying to yourself, please Phil, don't make us watch you scribe all the slates. If that's not enough for you, there are various alternatives. You can sit and cut out individual slates. It's what really fine scale people do in places like Pendon. Or you can use some laser cut slates. These are from Scale Model Scenery, and you get a little comb of slates which you cut out, and you can fit your rows onto there. So you can re-slate the roof to improve it. And talking of the finished model, here's one I made earlier, and you can see nice little building, and it's got the laser cut steps. They are slightly fiddly to assemble, but actually the instructions say they're really fiddly. I found them went together beautifully well. Barge board's gone on, and you can see all the raised area and all the extra bits around the windows, and that is a nice little building, just right for anybody's layout for a certain small country station. And I'll say about 3 hours assembly time. So it's not even going to eat up too much of your modelling time to produce, and you get the satisfaction of having built the model yourself.